Hello, welcome to English for Everyone, where we practice real-life American English. Today we're going to clear up some confusing vocabulary, so let's get started. Today we're looking at these two words, rough and roughly. First, pronunciation. Use the short sound like cup and up, rough. The GH makes the f sound, like flowers, rough, and roughly. It's rough plus ly, together roughly. First, let's talk about rough. Rough means not smooth. I can say the road is very rough. It's not smooth. Or I can talk about how boys play. Boys play rough. They jump around, they push each other. That's rough. Boys like to play rough. Well, what about roughly? If you look in a dictionary, it says roughly means in a rough way. So you should say boys like to play roughly. But we don't. We don't say that. I guess we don't follow the rules. We say boys like to play rough. We use the adjective to describe the action. Let's practice. Is the road very rough? That's right, the road is very rough. And what about boys? Do boys like to play rough? That's right, boys like to play rough. And we can use the word rough, the adjective, to describe a difficult day. I had a rough day today. Things didn't go smoothly. So I can say I had a rough day today. Example, he had a rough day. He had a difficult day. Let's practice. Did he have a rough day today? That's right, he had a rough day today. It wasn't easy. Things didn't go smoothly. Now let's talk about how we really use the word roughly. The word roughly is most commonly used to talk about something completely different. It means approximately, about. For example, it's about 10 miles to the nearest hospital. I can use roughly like approximately. It's roughly 10 miles to the nearest hospital. I can say these two things are not exactly the same, but they're about the same. I can use roughly. These two things are roughly the same. Let's hear some examples with the word roughly.
We met over a month ago, but officially
We've been going out for roughly 2 weeks.
Curiously, she said we had roughly the same build.
John's hypothetical man would have lived through 140 centuries.
Yeah, roughly.
And that, Your Worship, is roughly the whole story.
After seeing Mary's sales today, and assuming Jackie did roughly the same, I was impressed with the revenue potential of the restaurant.
Necronomicon ex mortis. Roughly translated, Book of the Dead.
In 2008, a professor at Santa Clara University replicated the obedience experiments and got roughly the same results.
And could you roughly approximate how many sexual encounters you have in 1 year?
Let's practice. How far is it to the nearest hospital? Is it roughly 10 miles? That's right, it's roughly 10 miles to the nearest hospital. What about these two things? Are they exactly the same or are they roughly the same? That's right, they're roughly the same. So remember, use rough to describe things that are not smooth, and use rough when describing actions. Boys like to play rough. And you can use rough to describe a difficult day. If you had a rough day. If you had a difficult day, you can say you had a rough day. And use roughly for approximately, about, not exactly. Today we're learning this expression, had a rough go of it. And it means you had a difficult time. You had a difficult time for a while. We're not talking about one afternoon. It's a longer time than that. Example, he lost his job. He was unemployed. After he lost his job, he had a rough go of it. Pronunciation, he hadda. Use a fast D, hadda. He had a rough go of it. In this expression, go is a noun. Again, he had a rough go of it. Let's hear some examples.
Jessica mentioned Suki had been having a rough go of it.
I see you had a rough go of it, my friend.
The twins, he's had a rough go of it so far.
Bingo. Now I know you've had a rough go of it.
You've had quite a rough go of it, haven't you?
I know that my dad and Lily have been having a rough go of it lately, but things may have taken a turn.
Let's practice. After he lost his job, did he have a rough go of it for a while? That's right. After he lost his job, he had a rough go of it for a while. He had a hard time. That's what it means. Today we're learning this expression, a rough patch. And what is it? It's a temporary, difficult time, usually for a short time. It's called a rough patch. Pronunciation, use the short like cup and up, rough, plus the F sound, like flowers, rough. A rough patch. Use the short A sound like black cat, patch, plus the ch like in chicken, patch. It's called a rough patch, and it's a temporary, difficult time, usually for a short time. Let's take a closer look. First, let's talk about rough. Rough is the opposite of smooth. The stone on the right is smooth. It almost looks like an egg. It's so smooth. But the stone on the left is not smooth. It's rough. The texture is rough, not smooth. Let's practice. Is the stone on the right smooth or rough? That's right. The stone on the right is smooth. And what about the stone on the left? Is it smooth or rough? That's right. The stone on the left is rough. It's very rough. Another example. If you have a bad day, you can say you had a rough day because it wasn't smooth. It was difficult. It was rough. Example, she had a rough day. Many things went wrong. She had a lot of problems that day, so I can say she had a rough day. Let's practice. Did she have a rough day? That's right, she had a rough day. It was difficult. We use the word rough. Now let's talk about this word, patch. What is a patch? A patch is a small area that is different from what is around it. For example, this is a patch of ice. It's a small area of ice that doesn't have ice around it, so it's different from what is around it. This is a patch of ice. And he slipped on the patch of ice. Remember, slip in the past, slipped. He slipped on the patch of ice. Let's practice. Did he slip on the patch of ice? That's right, he slipped on the patch of ice. Now let's talk about these patches. If you get holes in your shirt, you can cover the holes with patches. 1 patch and 2 patches. The shirt has 3 patches on it. It's also a verb. When you cover a hole with a patch, you can say you patch the hole. It's the verb to. So he patched the holes with patches. And now the shirt has patches on it. Let's practice. Does the shirt have patches on it? That's right, the shirt has patches on it. It has 3 patches on it. Did he patch the holes with patches? That's right, he patched the holes with patches. 3 patches. There must have been 3 holes. So now we see why we say the expression, a rough patch, is a short, difficult time. Rough can mean difficult, and a patch can be an area that's different from what is around it. So the idea is, everything was smooth before, and it's difficult now. But it'll be smooth in the future. It's just difficult right now. It's a rough patch. Now let's talk about the verbs we use. You can use the verb hit. You hit a rough patch. In the past, hit. You hit a rough patch. Or I can use present perfect and say you've. You have, together, you've. You've hit a rough patch. We normally use the past verb, hit a rough patch, or present perfect, you've hit a rough patch. Let's hear some examples of hit a rough patch.
You just hit a rough patch.
Look, I hit a rough patch.
What my parents did when they hit a rough patch, and it worked for them.
I hit a rough patch.
I'm sorry, I know you've hit a rough patch.
She's hit a rough patch with her mother.
We can also say go through. You can go through a rough patch. Go in the present, in the past, went. Or maybe right now, he's going through a rough patch. You can use the continuous action. He's having a difficult time right now. He's going through a rough patch. Let's hear some examples.
You've been going through a rough patch and just need someone to talk to.
Well, hey, I'm obviously going through a rough patch here.
So I gather you and Don are going through a rough patch.
It's just the one of going through a rough patch.
I'll confess, I am going through a rough patch.
Oh, yeah, we went through a rough patch, but we're back together now and things are better than ever.
but it kind of depressed me. Everybody had treated me like a pariah just because I went through a rough patch.
Well, Mickey and I went through a rough patch for a while, but...
I mean, he got caught, but a lot of people do a little creative accounting to get past a rough patch. You never do.
We can also say a bit of a rough patch. Not a little bit of a rough patch, but a bit of a rough patch. It's to emphasize that it's for a short time. You can hit a bit of a rough patch. You can go through a bit of a rough patch. Let's hear some examples.
She and my dad are going through a bit of a rough patch, so wanted to do something to let her know I was thinking about her.
I don't mind telling you, I'm going through a bit of a rough patch.
I've hit a bit of a rough patch.
Yeah, just going through a bit of a rough patch.
Yeah, well, we've hit a bit of a rough patch, but we'll be okay.
Jeff's hit a bit of a rough patch, but he's got a big interview tomorrow.
Well, I am going through a bit of a rough patch, but I try not to think about it too much.
It's the business. Yeah, we've hit a bit of a rough patch.
Bit of a rough patch, and it makes me sad.
Example. This is a married couple. They are married, and they're having problems. But it's only right now, so I can use the expression, a rough patch. Example, they hit a rough patch. Or to emphasize, they hit a bit of a rough patch. I can say go through, in the moment, going. They are, contraction, they're going through a rough patch. Or I can say they're going through a bit of a rough patch. They're having a difficult time, for a short time. Let's practice. Did they hit a rough patch? That's right, they hit a rough patch. I can use present perfect and say they've. They have, together, they've. They've hit a bit of a rough patch. Let's practice. Have they hit a bit of a rough patch? That's right, they've hit a bit of a rough patch. Now let's practice with going through. Are they going through a rough patch right now? That's right, they're going through a rough patch right now. Are they going through a bit of a rough patch? That's right, they're going through a bit of a rough patch. They're having a difficult time right now. But it'll be better in the future. That's the idea. So remember the expression, a rough patch. You can hit a rough patch, you can go through a rough patch, and remember where it comes from. Rough is not smooth, it can be difficult, it's rough, and a patch is an area that's different from what's around it, and we use it in many different situations. But together, a rough patch means a difficult time, for a short time. Thank you for watching, and if you like this video, subscribe to our channel. And if you want to become a member, click the join button. And we'll see you next time.